Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So guys, we have in the last video finished our last chapter, which was all about the anatomy and morphology, right? So we studied the different type of tissue systems. We studied all the structural organization in animals, right? So today we are going to start off with a new unit of class 11th, which is unit 3, and we are going to study all about the cell. So we are going to basically cover the entire structure and function of a cell. Now guys, if you see, around yourself, you'll see both living and non-living things, right? So basically, what it is made up of, you would be thinking, right, that what it is exactly made up of. Now, it is exactly made up of nothing but the cell. And that is the reason cell is considered as the basically basic unit of life. So, cell is considered as the basic unit of life. And now we know that all organisms, remember, all organisms, guys, are composed of cells, right? So, some are basically composed of single cells, they are known as unicellular. And then we have some which are composed of multiple cells. Now, these are known as multicellular. Right? So let's see what exactly is a cell. Now, unicellular organism, if we talk about, so basically organism with just one cell are capable of doing everything. So basically they are capable of independent existence, right? They can completely exist independently of anything. They have independent existence, right? So first thing about unicellular organism is that they can independently exist. The second thing is that they can perform all the essential functions which is required for living, which is required to live, right? So basically, they have independent existence and they can perform all the essential functions which are required for an organism to live, right? So anything less than a complete structure of a cell does not ensure independent living, right? But cell, however, is considered to be an independent unit which is capable of living, right? So that is why cell is the fundamental structural and functional. Remember, guys, cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Right? Now, for the first time, cell was basically described, and the person who saw this cell for the first time was Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Right? So Anton von Leeuwenhoek first saw and described a live cell, and then later on Robert Brown discovered the nucleus, right? And then basically what happened is that the invention of microscope happened, and that electron microscope basically led to revealing the all the structural details of the cells and all these organelles which are found in a cell, right? So now let's move towards the cell theory. So basically what happened in 1838, we have Matthias Claden. Let me just clear it once. Yes. So in 1838 there was a German botanist with the name of Matthias Claden. Like he examined a large number of plants, and what he observed that all plants are composed of different kind of cells which form tissues of the plant, right? Now, during the same time, around the same time in 1839, there was a British zoologist, right? And his name was Theodore Schwann. So what Theodore Schwann did was he studied different type of animal cells, and what he saw was what he noticed was that cell had a thin outer layer which is now known as plasma membrane. Now, basically, Theodore Schwann also concluded, based on his studies, that so basically, what happened is he also studied plant cells after that. And what he concluded that there is a presence of cell wall, right? There is a presence of cell wall, which was basically a unique feature in plant cells. These were not present in animal cells, right? So basically, on this basis, Theodore Schwann proposed the hypothesis that bodies of plants and animals, remember guys, bodies of plants and animals are composed of cells and products, and they are products of cells, right? So what basically Theodore Schwann said, he said that again, the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and they are products of cells, right? Now, both the botanist and the zoologist, Schleiden and Schwann, together formulated the cell theory, right? Now, this theory, however, didn't explain, as to how new cells were formed, right? They just gave the theory, the cell theory, that all plants and animals are made up of cells, right? And then, later in 1855, Rudolf Virchow for the first time explained that cells divide and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. Remember that he said that cells divide and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells, and this is known as omnis cellulae cellula, right? Omnis cellulae cellula. Right? And then later on, he modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Swan to give the cell theory a final shape, to give the final cell theory. And what this cell theory states? So, this cell theory states that all living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells, and all cells arise from pre-existing cells. All cells arise from pre-existing cells, right? Now let's see an overview of cell. Basically, what are the different types of cells? There are different shapes, their functions are completely different, right? So basically, inside each cell, what basically we found out, so basically, you do an experiment on onion peel very frequently. I remember doing it in my graduation, right? So you see the onion peel under the microscope, and then you see a typical plant cell inside it with a proper cell wall as the outer boundary, and then you have a lot of cell membranes inside. In the same way, you can see a human cheek cell of a human cheek, and then you see that there's no cell wall as you see in the onion peel, thing. And there you see a very small, very, very thin membrane, but then you see a very dense membrane bound structure, which is known as nucleus, right? So basically, inside each cell, there is a dense membrane bound structure, which is known as nucleus, and this nucleus contains the chromosomes. And we have studied previously that these chromosomes basically contain the genetic material, which is the DNA, right? So basically, cell has what? Cell has nucleus, and nucleus has chromosomes. And these chromosomes have the genetic material, which is nothing but the DNA, right? Now, Some cells are membrane cells, some cells have membrane bound nuclei, and these are known as eukaryotic cells. And there are some cells which lack membrane bound nucleus, which are known as prokaryotic cells. Now, in both eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells, there is a semi-fluid matrix which is known as cytoplasm. Now, this cytoplasm basically occupies the volume of the cell. And this cytoplasm is again the main region of various cellular activities in both plants and animal cells. So basically, various chemical reactions occur inside the cytoplasm to keep the cell in the living state, right? Now, beside this nucleus, the eukaryotic cells have other membrane bound structures which are known as endoplasm organelles, sorry. Now these organelles can be, say, endoplasmic reticulum, it can be Golgi complex, it can be lysosomes, mitochondria, we have microbodies, we have vacuoles, right? So we have a lot of organelles inside the cells. We'll any which way study all these types of organelles later in the chapter, right? And what happens in prokaryotic cells? You have organelles, but basically they are not membrane bound. So basically, prokaryotic cells lack membrane bound organelles, right? So basically, there are say one of the organelles are ribosomes as well. Again, ribosomes are non-membrane bound organelles which are found in all cells, right? In prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic. Now, within the cells, basically ribosomes are not only in the cytoplasm, but they are present inside two organelles as well. They are present in chloroplast and they are present in on rough endoplasmic reticulum as well, right? So basically, there are certain organelles which are present inside some organelles as well, right? And then in say there are different components in animal and plant cell as well, like presence of cell wall in plant cell. In the same way, animal cells, they contain another non-membrane bound organelles which are known as centrioles. These centrioles help in cell division, right? So each and every organelle which is present inside the cell is very important for the functioning of the entire cell. Now, these cells, these different types of cells, can vary in size, right? So we have mycoplasma as the smallest cell. Mycoplasma, which is the smallest cell, right? Which is just zero point 0.3 micrometer in length, right? And there can be bacterias which can be up to 3 to 5 micrometer, right? Now the largest isolated single cell. Can you name the largest isolated single cell? So this is nothing but egg of an ostrich. So you must have seen ostrich at least, on TV or on different videos, right? So ostrich are, very big, huge birds, and the eggs they lay again are big, very big, and those eggs are the largest isolated single cells, right? Now again, apart from that, we have a lot of, different type of cells in multicellular organisms like even humans, right? So these are some of the cells basically. So let's see this as well once. What you can see here basically is these are the human red blood cells. Round are there, and then we have bike. So basically they are round and bicon cave, right? So these are RBCs. In the same way, we have white blood cells. These are white blood cells. They are amoeboid in shape, right? We have epithelial cells. And what type? Columnar epithelial cells. right? These are long and narrow. Now see this one, very different type of cell, right? These are nerve cells. These are branched and long. Now, guys, remember that nerve cells are considered as some of the longest cells, right? Again, this is a plant cell, a tracheids, which is elongated. Again, a different type of plant cell, mesophyll cells, which are round and oval in shape. Right, there can be a lot different type of cells in plants and humans, and they can even have a they can basically vary a lot in their shape as well. So you can have disc like, you have polygonal, you have columnar, you have cuboid, you have thread like, you have irregular shaped cells, right? So basically, how do they shape themselves? How do the body of any organism decide regarding the shape of its cell? It's basically dependent on the type of function they are performing. So the shape of cells usually correlate with the function that they perform, right? So guys, with this basically we have started off with the new chapter, which is the cell, and we have started off with overview of a cell. Now in the next video we are going to start off with prokaryotic cells. So I hope you understood this basic. It's not very difficult. You'll have to remember certain terminologies. You'll have to remember certain differences later in different types of cells. So please do like the video, share it with your friends, and if you're new to the channel, please do not forget to subscribe to this video and definitely give your feedback regarding this video. I would be waiting for your feedback on the comments for this video. And yes, if you have any teeny tiny doubts, please do not forget to drop it in the comment section, or you can also ask your doubts in the on the WhatsApp number that is given in the description of the video. Okay, guys, see you in the next video. Bye bye.